Here at the Woodmaker Workshop, we are within 0.056 degrees of the 45th parallel, halfway between the equator and the North Pole, halfway between hot and cold, halfway between where it's really hot and really cold, and, well, we like it here, at least as far as the climate and the weather and the seasons are concerned, because we have them all 4 seasons, and we like the change of seasons we do, except for that particular time of year when winter is on its way out. That is to say, when the snow melts and the ground gets so soft and soggy that our feet sink in, and it's tough to make our way out to the shop or take a walk in the woods. Yet we anticipate the finer things to come, the best of things, the wonder, the delight, the joy of, well, you know, green beans. You heard that right, green beans. We will depart from our customary theme of wood and woodworking subjects because beans are so very important for a fruitful and happy life, and we are not lacking in this regard, for last year we planted both bush beans and pole beans, as you will soon and certainly see. We found the produce of each variety to be satisfactory in every way, and like making something good out of wood, planning and preparation are essential aspects. Only with wood we don't have to pull weeds and keep out the critters. In the workshop, some projects require extra steps, extra materials, or extra machining, and that's what you can expect with pole beans. Unlike those videos that begin with unboxing and the person giving you their initial, albeit uninformed impressions, we have a dozen or more seasons of the bush beans and now a full one with the other, so viewers can decide if the extra effort needed for pole beans makes sense. Here we go. Bush beans grow on a bush. Hey, that's something you already knew. Pole beans grow on poles or on a trellis or on a mesh of some sort, and they need that because they grow upwards instead of outwards, and they need some sort of support, and that's where the extra steps and extra materials are required. In our garden plot, the apparatus for pole beans was partially in place because we've been contending with weeds and rabbits and deer these many years, and like everybody else, we know the best way to keep vermin out is a fence, a high fence, and 6 feet isn't enough, but 8 is. We simply used 12-foot-long 2x4s to span the width and 14-footers along the center line, using cleats to keep them in place. And as you see here, this rafter of Ben Franklin's preferred birds had a real close look, then departed, avoiding demise. You will be amazed the way pole beans wind their way skyward, almost as if they were guided by an unseen entity, and they don't need anything terribly exotic or expensive to cling to, so we used what we had on hand. Old rabbit fencing, one in a 20-foot length, others only 4 feet, that were used previously to surround saplings. We pounded in T-posts for the bottom area and suspended the upper portion from the structure overhead and fastened them all together with bits of wire, cable ties, and bungee cords. And it worked. Our out-of-pocket expense was only about $21, and we applied spar urethane to the 2x4 so they will last, we expect, for 8 or 10 or 12 years. Watch now as we show how last season progressed. You can pause the video at any time if you care to. It's worthwhile to note that bush beans produce very well, and they do so in a shorter period of time than pole beans. That can be good or not so good, according to your willingness to pick them and eat them and put some away for the winter months. We blanch and freeze a considerable amount, finding every other day as often as we care to take time and make the effort. And that's where the pole beans present an advantage. They produce every bit as much, even a bit more than the lower variety, but over a longer span. Quite often, as we discovered, just the right amount for an evening meal, or if a bit more, that which was cooked and left over went right into bags and into the freezer. Another favorable aspect of the pole beans versus the bush beans is your musculoskeletal system. Oh yeah. After an hour of leaning over to gather the crop, bush beans can leave the old back bent in the shape of a green bean, curved along the entire length, and as you try to stand up and straighten out, you may hear that familiar snapping, crackling, and popping sound you heard as a kid, only it won't be your breakfast cereal. It'll be your spine barking at you. With the fullness of time, the harvest is ready, so be attentive to your crop. Some will ripen ahead of the others. They are the first picking and always delicious. Then comes the main portion, the main crop, and as summer comes to an end, the final gathering, gleaning, some call it, to get every last bean. That's the way it works. But if your back is sore and you neglect your crop, the beans get large and fibrous and woody, as some would say, and are good for nothing, cast aside or thrown into the fire. So we were pleasantly surprised as the pole beans in our garden continued to produce for about 6 or 7 weeks after the bush beans quit and were uprooted. We were so impressed we kept an account. Here, have a look. Well, there you have it. That's our report. We don't know if you will believe it or not, but our garden will continually, forever, for all time, never fail to grow green beans. And hey, we prefer to pick them standing up. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. There will be more videos to come. Why not subscribe to the Woodmaker Workshop channel?